before he read the first lesson that today was all about forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of those wonderful concepts. Sounds easy, but it's very difficult. And whether we call it remission or forgiveness, it's addressed 119 times in the New Testament. Do you know how many times we address it on a Sunday morning in this place when we gather on a normal Eucharist? What about the Nicene Creed? When we get up and we give this statement of our faith, we acknowledge one baptism for the forgiveness of sin. What about our confession? Have mercy upon us and forgive us. What about the Eucharistic prayer? This is the blood of the new covenant which is shed for you and for many for forgiveness of sins. What about the Lord's Prayer, as Ron mentioned? And forgive us our debts as we forgive those who debt against us. For the last month or so, our gospel readings have dealt a lot with the church and how we become in relationship with one another and with our loving God in this thing we call the church. In other words, it's about community. It's about relationship. Remember, if we go back into Matthew 5, there was this thing called the Sermon on the Mount. Okay, the Beatitudes, the Beatitudes. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Joseph is sold into slavery. What was the motivation of the sons when they came to Joseph? It was to save their own hide. What can we get out of this if we say, well, you know, Father asked us to forget all this stuff that happened in the past. Just, you know, forgive and forget. It was all about them. Didn't work out that way, the way they planned, because Joseph forgave them and didn't require anything of them. They thought they were going to become slaves. You got the things that happen. I've thought a lot in the last week or so. The readings for today would make these interesting little church stage plays. And we could see the actions of all of the key players in these as they come forward to approach someone, they kneel down, they beg forgiveness. Wait a minute. Even in the gospel, we have two servants. The assumption, I don't think I'm way off base when I say this, is, but the king and the servants are probably tax collectors. And these tax collectors are collecting for themselves also and pocketing some of the money. And there are some descriptions that will tell you that the first person, the one who had the large debt, would owe something in today's terms like $4 billion. Where the other person with the smaller debt might only owe like $4,000. Very significant difference. I can't even imagine 4 billion. You know, really. I'd like to imagine 4,000. Is it how big of a debt that we're asked to forgive, or is it how small of a debt? Let me tell you the story of a man who did no wrong. Nailed to a cross. Roman soldiers drove spikes in his hands. And what is the final prayer that this man gave? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgiveness is really an easy concept. All we have to do is say, Betty Ann, you remember when I called you goofball in the hospital because that's kind of the way we react with each other? Forgive me. And the next time I see Betty Ann, guess what I call her? Hi, goofball, how you doing? I love Betty Ann, and believe me, I call her goofball all the time because we do get goofy sometimes. Is that right? I'm not telling stories, am I? Forgiveness. I think this gospel begs, not that I would be the one to question it, but begs us to ask some questions. Whether it's in your family life, your work life, your social life, who do you need to forgive? Who is there in your life that you really need to make a change of heart and forgive for whatever action it was? Because in forgiving them is the only way that you can live in true freedom and peace without them having the hammer over your head. Is there someone like that? And you know what? Most people are going to sit in this room right now today and say, no, there isn't. Yes, there is. That's how hard this is to deal with. When we sit down and we really think, who is that? What is that situation? What is that that separates us a little bit that I need to let go of? And there's a difference in just letting go and forgiving. You know, we just went through 9/11. And how many saw, whether it was on Facebook or on the news or anywhere else, we saw all of these never forget signs. We will always remember. Never forget. Well, is there a difference between forgetting and forgiving? We may remember what happened to us on 9/11 for a long, long time. But can we truly forgive those who flew airplanes? Those who killed 3,000+ of our fellow citizens? That's a whole different question. It's a whole different ballgame. Is there someone in your life or some situation in your life that you need to forgive? Can we move forward in a rector search until we recognize some of those things that this parish does that maybe, you know, we ought to be asking the neighborhood for a little forgiveness on? Forgiveness is not simple. It is not easy. I'm thinking of someone who passed away a couple of weeks ago. I was a new deacon, like 2 weeks into it. And I showed up at the church I was assigned to at that time. Now, I can be a little OCD at times, I admit it, except when it comes to selecting the right gospel to read. And I'm trying to make sure that as the deacon in this parish, the readings are in the right place, the altar manual is in the right place, the gospel is in the right place, everything is set. And apparently, this gentleman was sitting behind me, or actually sitting in the church, and he was watching. I just wanted to make sure, I didn't look like a fool the first day. So I get to the same church the second Sunday, and guess who met me at the door? This is Dale Atkinson, Dave Atkinson's father, Beth's uncle. And he met me at the door and he said, "Relax. It'll all be okay. Slow down. You'll be okay." And I've never forgotten those words from him. I'm not saying that I don't get a little OCD at times and make sure that I want everything where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be. But he told me that it was okay if, we have those days once in a while that we goof up. We can be forgiven for that. We can relax from that. That's what forgiveness is like. It's when someone comes up to you and relieves you of that feeling that, all that anxiety that's going on. It is so difficult for us to forgive in so many ways. So again, my question is, who is it? What is it that maybe in your heart you need to deal with in terms of forgiveness? And remember that forgiveness is a change of heart. It's not just an "I forgive," and we go on about our business. I forgive. 143 times you were reminded of that in Scripture. Must be pretty important.